Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 1 of Our Killer Obsession with James and Crystal, your true crime connoisseurs. Welcome to our first episode, and thank you for joining us, and we really hope that you hit that subscribe button before you leave. All right, let's just go ahead and get right into this episode.
All right, yeah. Today we're going to talk about Edmund Kemper. He was called the CoEd Killer. He murdered 6 co-eds in Santa Cruz, California in 1972 and 1973. But it wasn't just co-eds. He also killed his mother and her friend, and he killed his paternal grandparents, but we're going to get into that later. We learned the most from Kemper himself, not just we as in researching this, but also police and FBI, because he was a big talker. This guy loved to do interviews. He loved to talk. He wanted to tell everybody his story. He loved the notoriety. When he was asked why he gave interviews and helped the FBI one time, he said, quote, "It's a lot of work to kill people, mentally and physically. Sometimes you just need to vent."
That's just weird.
He's a sick individual.
That's just weird.
Let's get into his childhood, though. You know, they say all these serial killers have terrible childhoods, and they kind of all have similar things, so let's get into it.
Some will say that's where it stems from, right? It's like, oh, well, they had a terrible childhood, and that's what had to have done it to them, right? So,
right?
Who knows?
Well, let's see. He was born December 18th, 1948, to Clarnell Stage Kemper and Edmund Kemper II. Of course, he had a very unhappy, chaotic childhood. Parents fought all the time. Mom was an alcoholic, severe alcoholic her whole life. They ended in divorce. Dad moved away. He moved away to California, left Kemper with his mom and his 2 sisters, and started a new life with a new wife, and really didn't have a lot to do with little Ed. After Dad left, Edmund became the sole focus of his mom's abuse. She humiliated him, belittled him, treated him like trash. So did his sisters. She hated him. It reminded her of what she had lost in his father, and she took it all out on him. She even said at one point she was afraid to show him affection. It might turn him gay.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a real winner.
That's weird.
So she even made this poor little kid sleep in the basement by himself. They all slept upstairs, and she didn't even allow a nightlight because she said it was too expensive.
Terrible.
Yeah. She was overheard on a phone call to his father calling him a weirdo. And so that stuck with him his whole life.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that, you
own
remember
mom.
that.
Yeah, your own mom calling you a weirdo.
Yeah.
But he was a weirdo. He was a weird kid.
In all fairness.
In all fairness, he was a weird kid. First of all, he was huge. Fully grown, he ended up 6'9" and over 300 pounds, but he was always huge growing up.
It's massive.
Yeah, and he was awkward, lumbery, not a lot of coordination. So he got made fun of. And he killed animals. That's another thing they always say serial killers do, kill animals. That's one of their trademark things to watch for. At one point, he had killed a stray cat and buried it alive. Well, he buried it alive, then it died. Then he dug it up, decapitated it, and stuck its head on a stick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he did the same to his sister's dolls. He would decapitate his sister's dolls.
Yeah.
So you'll see a recurring thing here with the
got
decapitations. This
thing.
continues, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also had a terrible relationship with his sisters. They were a couple jerks too. Sounds like similar to his mom. They kind of took after her and treated him the same. They would play some morbid death games with him, and they would tell him they were giving him like the death penalty, and they would pretend to gas him or electrocute him, and then he would writhe around on the floor and pretend like he was dying.
That's normal play, right? We all do that, don't
we? Right. What the heck?
Oh man.
Like I said, weird kid also,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
terrible family.
Yeah.
Apparently his oldest sister tried to kill him twice. So story has it that she pushed him into the deep end of a pool and he couldn't swim. So he almost drowned. And then another time she had pushed him in front of a moving train, or attempted to push him in front of a moving train.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So they hated this poor kid. He felt, ostracized his whole life.
Gotcha.
One time, older sister again was teasing him about wanting to kiss his teacher and why didn't you kiss your teacher? First of all, odd thing to ask your brother.
All right.
Why are you talking about this? It's like second grade for this kid too, by the way.
Okay. Wow. Really
young,
early.
young. But he did reply. He said, if I kiss her, I'd have to kill her first.
Okay.
As a second grader.
That is a very odd statement.
And to make it even weirder, okay, he would steal his dad's bayonet, sneak to her house, and watch her through the windows.
Okay.
The same second grade teacher that he was getting teased about.
Wow.
wanting
In the
to
second
kiss.
grade.
Second grade.
Oh my goodness.
So this is where we get to. Are these type of people born evil, or is it nature versus nurture? Because he's weird very, very young, but he had a terrible upbringing, tons of abuse verbally, physically, mentally, so you guys tell us what you think. Leave it in the comments. Nature versus nurture.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a forever debate, right? Like some are like, oh, well, you're just born with something in your brain that's wrong that just makes you a flat out weirdo and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
And then you have other people that are like, no, he's a product of his environment. If he didn't have that abuse from his family, he wouldn't have been a weirdo, right? So what really?
Would Edmund be a normal member of society if he wasn't treated terribly? But there's also the argument where a lot of people have shitty childhoods.
I mean, we can say that we honestly didn't have some of the best childhoods of our
Right.
own. And
We're
here
not
we ain't out
killing people or decapitating
you'll
animals.
See what he does to people. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I definitely playing these games ever in my life, and we've had a rocky childhood, so I don't know. What is it, a mixture of both?
I don't know. You let us know what you think. So around the age of 15, he got sick of his mom's bullshit. He was sick of being abused. He wanted to go try living with his father. So he went to California to try to live with his dad and his dad's girlfriend. Well, new wifey wasn't having it. Okay, so she's like, this can't happen. This weird, giant, lumbering child can't live with us. So dad sent him to his parents' house, which was north central California area. And so he lived with them for a while.
With grandma and grandpa?
Grandma and grandpa, yeah.
His father's
Yeah,
grandma
paternal
and grandpa.
grandparents, yep.
Okay.
It said that he had a great relationship with his grandpa. His grandpa was very kind to him, and they shared a lot of interests in common. But he says his grandmother was the complete opposite, exactly like his mother, very matriarchal and constantly emasculating him and his grandfather, belittling him, constant arguments, and treating him like crap. So back to the same thing he was in with his mom.
It was kind of, yeah. It's a recurring thing from one to another, it seems like. And then you think you're going to get him out of one situation, and then you put him right in the same exact one, basically.
Yeah, and he says this is like a family thing where there was very strong women in his family that treated the men like garbage, basically. So, being the weirdo kid that he is, he liked to kill birds, and he would take his shotgun at grandma's house and shoot all the birds. Grandma hated it. So, he got in trouble. He got his gun taken away, and that sent him over the edge, apparently. So, one day, grandpa went to the store. It was August 27th, 1964. Grandfather went to the store, and he decided to go find the gun that grandma took from him. And he knew right where she hid it, so he grabbed it, and he found Grandma Maud sitting in the kitchen, and he raised the barrel of the gun and shot her in the head and in the back, killing her.
They had like an argument or something right before that, right?
Yeah, they did.
It's just something, and
she caught him with the gun. Yeah, and said, "You better not be out shooting them birds."
Yeah, and then he said something about she was just yelling at him, and then it's just like he couldn't take no more.
He couldn't take it anymore. Like he snapped. Yeah. So he killed Grandma, and she died instantly, shot in the head. And he started thinking, "Oh no, what if Grandpa finds Grandma this way?" He didn't want his grandpa to find his grandma this way. He was afraid it was going to hurt him so bad that he would have a heart attack and die. So he thought the only way to save his grandfather from this horrible heartbreak is to kill him before he finds Grandma. So when Grandpa pulled up in the driveway with the groceries, he met him in the driveway and shot him instantly as soon as he got out of the truck.
So basically, in a way, he's like, oh, I don't want to feel bad for Grandpa, so I don't want him to suffer, so I'm just going to kind of
kill him.
Spare him.
Right. This is sick, twisted, rationale here. After he killed his grandparents, he didn't know what to do. He was freaking out. He's a teenager. So he called his mom, of all people, And she said, call the cops. So he did, and he was arrested. After the arrest, they asked him why he killed his grandparents. And he said, he quoted, "I just wanted to see what it felt like to kill grandma." So.
That's weird.
Right.
I
And
it wasn't like he was like, oh, she made me so angry.
No.
And like, he was just like, well, she was yelling at me and I just kind of wanted to know what it'd feel like to kill her.
Yeah.
Weird.
So was Grandpa's murder a mercy killing? Did he really feel any kind of empathy towards his grandfather enough to put him out of his misery, per se?
I don't know. Can a young
Sociopath
murderer
have those feelings?
Right, for somebody? Or is it just kind of like, well, I don't know. Is he just telling you something that you might want to hear,
Mm-hmm.
Or is it legit? Like, it's,
Yeah.
Baffling.
That's another one. You guys
It's
tell us what you
baffling.
think. I don't know. I kind of feel like after reading everything about him, I think he's full of BS, but
Right, yeah.
we'll see.
It does kind of seem like that at the end, maybe here and there, but
Yeah. So this teen killing his grandparent situation was completely new to the courts in 1964, and they couldn't wrap their mind around that somebody was able to do something like that. So they basically diagnosed him as schizophrenic and put him in a mental hospital.
we're talking like back early days too, when they're still learning about all this like
Mental stuff,
disabilities and everything, so they're kind of just guessing.
Exactly. Yeah, they had no idea what to do with this kid. So he was sentenced from the age of 15 to the age of 21 to the Atascadero State Mental Hospital. While he was there, though, his IQ was tested, and he tested at 145. So the kid was a genius at age 15. And they also said that he had total recall of everything he had ever done in his life, detail by detail. He could
That's
remember
crazy.
everything.
That's wild. I can barely remember 2 weeks ago.
I know. I don't even remember what we had for breakfast.
Right.
But also, this surprised the hell out of Kemper. He said being called stupid his whole life, he believed it. He really thought he was dumb, and he was surprised that he did not have like a mental disability. Also at the state hospital, he was the most helpful. They called him friendly, engaging, and a model prisoner. So they made him like a trustee of sorts. He started giving tests to the other inmates there and learning all the answers to all the questions.
Okay. All
Right.
So he was administering all these and at the same time studying everything that he was
Exactly.
teaching and
And with the
administering.
total recall, he can literally remember everything.
Right. Like, yeah, it's in there.
Yeah. So in 1969, he was able to manipulate the psych docs so well that they released him and called him sane.
Oh, he went up for an evaluation
Yeah.
and he just memorized it all.
Everything.
Okay. And then he just played them. And it
Yeah,
made
he
it
knew
seem
exactly what to say to sound normal.
Like, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, the kicker here, though, he's paroled to mom. So he's
Oh.
got to go live with mom now. And they picked up right where they left off, fighting. You know, she was drinking all the time, coming home drunk, blaming all her problems are blamed on him again.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And he had aspirations at some point. He wanted to be a police officer. He wanted to get married and have a family, like a normal life. But the inability to do that, he blames on his mother. He called himself emotionally impotent, and he was afraid to fail at a real male-female relationship. So he blames it on mom, too. As the fights escalate, he admits to masturbating to thoughts of killing his mom and other women.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just from a fight.
From fighting.
And then
We all fight with our
Oh
mom.
my goodness.
Yeah, but
Oh my goodness.
it's a little far.
Way
That's a lot far.
That's way
Beyond far. That's the farthest. So as the fights escalate and he starts fantasizing about hurting people and masturbating to hurting people, he starts practicing is what he calls it. And he starts picking up hitchhiking co-eds. But he doesn't do anything to them. He drops them off where they're going. But each time he tries to go further and further with being weird in front of them or showing them a gun, something to see
How far?
how far he can go.
Okay.
He describes these girls as small and defenseless. Yeah, and he says he's practiced this like 150 times.
Well,
Picking up girls and dropping them off. And it was a popular thing back then, right?
Well, especially back then, hitchhiking was a thing. And then you think about it too, though. Like, I would probably be small and defenseless to this guy.
Yeah, 6'9", 300 pounds.
6'9", 300 pounds.
The dude was massive.
That's towering. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's intimidating all on its own.
And if you've seen any videos of him, he
he
has a
lumberjacky.
way about him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
But quiet, intimidating.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he said he did this to feel out how easy it would be to play out his sick fantasies. It was like an addiction. He compared it to being an alcoholic or addicted to alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah. He also kept doing it while he was murdering women. So he would murder some and not others.
And then just keep practicing in
yeah,
between.
and getting going and just being weird.
Wow.
But he did say that he would pick up hitchhikers, and if they talked about, oh, the killer, this guy's doing this stuff to women, and they talk about it, he said instantly that was a free ride for them. He would not be able to kill them.
Oh, wow.
Right. And he said one time he asked them,
That's weird.
if you know that there's this guy out there murdering girls like you, why did you get in a car with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what they said? You don't look like him.
Oh, okay.
You don't look like a killer.
So basically, whatever they're getting out of the media or whatever, they're drawing up their own picture of this weird, sick, whatever you picture as a murderer inside your own brain.
I mean, I think we all do that. We all picture this creepy basement dweller sicko,
right?
You know, but then there's people like Ted Bundy.
Yeah, you always think
decent looking, very personable, can get any job, tons of friends,
right?
And they're doing all these sick things that you wouldn't imagine that they would do.
Yeah, you want to think that in your mind you would be able to pick up on, oh, this guy's a
murderer.
Weirdo. But like you said, you don't know sometimes.
No.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, another question for you guys out there. Why would women get in the car with this guy?
Yeah.
You know,
especially when it's it's happening so much at the time and it's being talked about to the point where they're jumping in the car and talking about this guy to the guy.
Right.
And why still get in these cars with these men and risk it?
Right. It's that close in their neighborhood and they're still going to hitchhike. Not me.
Man,
no way. Coming to May 7th, 1972, he saw two women hitchhiking and he knew he wouldn't let them go. That's when he picked up Marianne Pesci and Anita Lucchese. He called them petite little dolls.
Oh.
Yeah. And he wanted them for his own.
That's weird. So that kind of goes like, was he thinking of the dolls he used to decapitate as a child?
Yeah.
You know?
And he always describes them the same way. Small, petite, defenseless.
Right.
So at some point, he had Anita in the trunk and Marianne in the back seat. He attacked Marianne with a knife, and he's stabbing and stabbing. He said the knife wouldn't penetrate her coveralls.
Oh.
He actually, quote, said, "It's not that swell of a knife."
Okay.
Yeah, but he kept going at it, attempted to cut her ear to ear, and said it's actually a lot tougher than you would think. And he said it's nothing like he saw in the movies.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he described it actually as a terrible experience.
Oh, wow. I bet it was.
Right.
I mean, come on.
For him. He's thinking about himself.
Yeah, really.
Not about the poor girl in the back seat.
And not as a normal thinking person either.
Right.
Like, of course, we think it'd be terrible.
Right. I think
he's like...
This was too hard for him. It was like a burden.
Wow.
Right? Okay. After he finished with Marianne in the back seat, he went around to the trunk to see Anita. And when he opened the trunk, she saw him all bloody and she freaked out. And she said, what happened? What happened to Marianne? And he didn't want her to know her friend was dead. He said, why should she know that? He didn't want to put her through that kind of distress.
So again, he is like sparing people.
Empathy, right. Bull crap, right?
Wow.
So he stabbed Anita multiple times in the back. And at some point she rolled over and her breasts were exposed. And he said, wouldn't that be terrible to stab her in the breast? Okay. So he didn't. So he didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't,
spared her.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So after he murdered these poor girls and had them in the trunk, Marianne still in the back seat, he was headed home and was pulled over by a police officer for a broken tail light.
With them in the
car.
Oh.
So when he was pulled over, he hopped out right away to go speak to the officer. And the officer said, hey, buddy, you gotta bust a taillight. And he is so cooperative and manipulative and nice to the police officer. He even offered the police officer to look in the trunk for broken wires.
Wow. That's gutsy, huh? Now, what are you going to do if the cop is like, okay, yeah, let's take a look, bud?
He was prepared to kill him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wow, he was going to kill him too.
Okay, so he was just like, hey, we're going to do this. And then, oh, hey, let's take a look, man. Yep. And if you do...
Yeah, yep. The cop said, you know what, buddy? No big deal. Check it out tomorrow. Sent him on his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
with,
he had
with two girls
with
in the
two
trunk.
dead
Oh,
girls
my
in his
goodness.
car. Exactly. So he took the girls back to his house. This gets really gross. Trigger warning, everybody. This is really gross. He decapitates both girls and has sex with their heads and their bodies.
Wow.
So super necrophilia. Disgusting. He buried them the next day when he was finished with them. So here's another question I pose. Why? Why would you have sex with their bodies? Why not when they were alive?
I mean, if at all, yeah, if you're going to be that kind of weirdo, then like,
Right.
why do you have to wait until after and then do that? Like, it's
Exactly. Is it for possession? Is it for complete control? Is he intimidated by live women and because he's unable to have those relationships? He called himself emotionally impotent.
Yeah.
Right. So are those the reasons? You guys let us know in the comments what you think.
Yeah. Wow.
A lot of questions with this guy. It's hard to wrap your mind around the brain of a weirdo, right? You can't get in there and really know.
Especially when he starts just telling you the truth and stuff like that.
And then you're like, is it the truth?
Right.
Like, is he capable of empathy and like sparing this girl's feelings, even though he's gonna murder her and then have sex with her head?
Said that twice now, you know. He's
Yeah,
gonna spare
Grandpa.
grandpa of his feelings and stuff, and now this
Right.
girl. Is that just what people want to hear?
Right,
or-
exactly. And he's so manipulative, like tricking the psych docs at the mental hospital. So is he still doing that when he's giving these interviews?
Wow.
Trying to manipulate you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something. So we're up to September now, same year, 1972. And he's still fighting with mom all the time. And every time he fights with his mom and it escalates and it gets worse, and he feels that urge that he wants to kill somebody.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of almost
It's
anger
triggering him.
driven.
Exactly.
And he's like, the only way I can feel better is to murder.
Exactly. I don't know. Because he said he always, imagined doing it to his mother. So maybe this was like practice.
Yeah.
So September 14th, 1972, he picked up a young Aiko Ko. She was hitchhiking on her way to ballet class, but missed the bus, so she had to hitchhike. She realized they were going the wrong way and asked him, like, what the hell? We're going the wrong way. And he told her, you're not going to make it there tonight.
Oh, man.
But he said, I'm not going to hurt you.
Okay.
Another thing he said, he didn't want her to think she was in danger.
Oh, but you told her, like, you're not going to make it, but don't worry, you're okay.
Same thing. He didn't want to cause her more distress.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. I'm going to murder you, but I don't want you to feel afraid.
Wow.
Right. At some point he gets out, maybe to take a leak. I don't know, but he locks himself out of the car.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
this is
remember
like-
this when we first researched this. I was like, wait a minute,
Exactly.
what?
Exactly. So this would be like your free ride out of here, right? Like you're going to run. Well, he's so smooth talking. She unlocked the door for this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
6'9", 300-pound creeper Kemper.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
You're not going to make it to ballet tonight, but I'm not going to hurt you.
Oh, I locked myself out of the car. No, please let me in.
Let me back in.
Wow,
No
poor
way, right? So he gets back in with her, and of course, he strangled her with a scarf and then decapitated her.
Oh, jeez.
The next day, though, he had a parole meeting with the psych doctor. Her body was in the trunk
Oh, at the parole
at
meeting?
this meeting. Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
But he is so good at what he does.
That's like real arrogant, right? Like,
Dude.
I'm just going to leave it in the trunk, go see my parole
he
officer.
thinks he's
and-
invincible. He thinks he's smarter than
Wow.
everybody. He is technically smarter than a lot of people.
I mean, and he's been
IQ
getting
of
away with
1.5.
it so far.
Yeah. So he goes to this meeting and is able to manipulate and know exactly what to say from the psych test that he had taken before and given to all these other inmates. They proclaim him sane again, and he gets off parole, and they expunge his juvenile record.
Oh, my goodness.
So nobody will ever know.
While he's committing these murders.
While this poor girl is in the trunk,
Jeez.
decapitated. Actually, the last psych note from the doctor at this meeting read, in quotes, okay? If I were to see this patient without having any history or getting any history from him, I would think that we were dealing with a very well-adjusted young man who has initiative, intelligent, and who was free of any psychiatric illness. While the body in the trunk.
Oh,
Exactly.
my goodness.
He was a really good talker,
Wow.
which he never shuts up.
Well,
like,
then
the
he
whole
learned
time.
all that stuff back when he was teaching it and everything in the psych ward. So
Exactly.
he really
knew exactly what to say.
He knew what
Again,
to tell
total
people.
recall. So he knew the questions they were going to ask and exactly how to answer them.
So it's almost like he's a professional at telling you what you want to hear.
Exactly. Con man. Perfect con man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sees another hitchhiker walking down the street, and he picks up Miss Cindy Shaw. This time he shoots her in the head, then decapitates her. And this time he keeps the head for several days.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. To do what he wants to do with it for several days.
Oh, my goodness.
But after he's done with her, he buries her head under his mother's window, face up. You know why? He says, because mother always wanted people to look up to him or up to her.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now you literally have somebody outside your window
always looking up
at you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's something.
That is wow.
Yeah. This guy was gutsy. Like,
and
really.
how do you get away with that too, with nobody noticing? You know, like nobody noticed you doing this in your yard. It's just weird.
I know.
Crazy.
I don't know if he was lucky or stealthy.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Wow.
In February 1973, the university put out a warning to everybody. Don't hitchhike with strangers. Only catch rides from other university students, people that you think you go to school with.
Okay, trust. Yeah.
Right. Well, his mom worked at the university.
Oh.
So he got a sticker to put on his car to look like a student.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this guy was smart.
Oh, my God.
So on February 5th, 1973, he picked up Rosalind Thorpe and Allison Liu. He shot them both in his vehicle multiple times.
Wow.
And then while he had them not in the trunk, one was in the front seat and one was in the back seat. And they were doing a traffic stop up ahead trying to find this sicko.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
just stopping and questioning people.
Right, yeah.
But he said he put on this air like, you know, F the cops and you're just messing with me and whatever. And they let him go. They never looked in his car. They just waved him through.
Wow. Oh, yeah. I think I remember that one. That's the one where he pulled up and they started questioning him. And he was like, I just kind of gave him that, like, what?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know,
why are
and
you
they were
messing with
kind of
me?
like, oh, man, okay.
Yeah,
like,
just let this
and you know
big
what? Never mind,
through.
guy. Keep going. I don't want to bother him because he was so huge and intimidating.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep. So he manipulated his way right through that one, too, with 2 dead girls in his car.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, he took them home, decapitated them. We're seeing a recurrent thing here from all the way from Back with the Cat and the Dolls.
Yeah.
Had sex with them.
Wow.
And then discarded them in the Bay Area. He had no fear. He was never afraid of getting caught. He thought he was smarter than the police. He would go to one of those local bars where all the cops hang out at all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Ear hustling, listening, trying to find out the scoop on what's going on with his own case.
Wow.
To see if he could hear anything.
Wow.
He said he would intentionally place himself in conversations to try to hear what was going on, but he knew never to really talk too much about
Not
the
to
case.
push it too much.
Exactly.
Just to kind of
He said he learned these tactics from watching cop shows on TV.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. He said you don't talk about the case and you never go to memorials because that's the first place they're looking for you is at the memorials of the victims.
Wow.
Right. Smart. He was a genius, but terrible.
Yeah, in a terrible way. You know, he used his genius
for awful things. Like, what could he have done with his life? Man.
Insane.
So 2 months with no murders. Kept fighting with mom, though. And things kept escalating, you know. And in April, he decided that he was going to kill her. He said he knew a week ahead of time that he was going to kill his mother.
Okay. It wasn't one of them anger ones this time. It was like, I know what I'm going to do to you this time. And
exactly. I think it all probably built up against his mom. And finally he said, enough's enough and I'm going to kill her. So on April 24th, 1973, after a night of drinking, mom's out getting sauced again. She comes home wasted, telling him, you're the reason I haven't had sex with a man in 7 years, blaming him for all of her problems. And that was it for him. He was like, that's it. I think this is the night, right?
wow.
So he goes in. I don't really know why he went in the first time to talk to her, but she was like, oh, I suppose you're going to stay up all night now and talk.
Kind of just discarded and pushed him
Exactly.
aside.
Pushed him away again. And he was like, nope. And he left. And he waited until 4 a.m. when he grabbed a claw hammer, went back into her room when she was sleeping, and bludgeoned her to death.
Wow.
But that wasn't it. He was real sick. Real sick. He decapitated his mother. He cut out her vocal cords and tried to throw them in the garbage disposal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Trying to really annihilate her voice.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, sick of listening to her.
My goodness.
Yeah. He said it popped out a few times and he had to keep putting it back in.
Goodness.
Yeah. Unbelievable. He also took her head and put it on the mantle, screamed at it for over an hour while throwing darts at it.
Wow. Then
he had sex with it.
Oh, my goodness. His own mother.
His own mother's head. Decapitated head.
After his bludgeon, too, and just...
And darts and the whole business. And he said, I came out of my mother, and in a rage, I went back in.
Oh.
That's like the worst.
Oh, my
That is
God.
stomach turning.
That's just... what?
Right?
Yeah.
Speechless.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole nother level.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Like, I can't... Well, we know he wasn't normal. Like, that's
I mean,
sure.
beyond, right?
Oh, my goodness.
So after he killed his mom, he freaked out a little bit. People are going to look for her. She has friends. She has a job. It's not just one of these girls you can throw off, the side of the road.
Worked with, like, university or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know?
So he made a plan to cover his tracks. He called his mom's best friend, Sally Hele, and made up a story that he wanted to take them both to dinner and to come on over. So she did. She's like, okay, sure. That's really nice. I'm going to come over and have dinner with you guys. Well, that was not the plan. He choked her from behind. And as he did, he said he orgasmed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. He had sex with her in his mother's bed. Yeah. And then he stashed her in a closet when he was done with her.
God.
He left a note with the body. In quotes, it says, approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday. No need for her to suffer anymore at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quick, asleep, the way I wanted it. Not sloppy and incomplete, gents. Just a lack of time. I got things to do.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Like, it's just no big deal.
No big deal.
Wow.
Just like, I got better things to do. I had to hurry up and put her out of her misery. I'm out of here.
Wow.
Right. So then he ran, though. He was on the run after that. He made it all the way to Pueblo, Colorado, I guess. And when he realized there was no big manhunt after him, nobody had even realized his mom was dead yet. I think he felt like enough's enough. He said once his mom was dead, there was really no reason to kill anybody else.
Oh.
And he was kind of over it.
That's weird.
Right.
You know, that's weird. Like, it was a trigger to be like, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah. Like he felt better.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. So he stopped at a phone booth and called the Santa Cruz police to turn himself in and confess.
Okay.
The first time he called, though, they were like BS and hung up on him. They thought it was a fake
like a
prank
call. Like, oh, you're just trying to... Oh, my goodness.
So he had to call back again and say, no, listen, for real. I'm the guy killing all these girls, and I killed my mom.
Wow.
So they sent Detective Mickey Alufi from the Santa Cruz Police Department to pick him up. Detective Alufi said the ride back was wild. He said that the guy wouldn't shut up. He said at first it was like good to hear. He wanted to hear all the details.
Right.
This guy's confessing everything. But he said after a while he felt nauseous. He just wanted the guy to shut up.
Wow.
Like it was enough.
It's almost like he was just bragging about it. Like,
too much.
Look at me.
Yeah, he said when they had to stop at like gas stations and stuff, he would like strut to the bathroom, like everybody look at me, like I'm the man, right?
That's weird. That's crazy.
When they get to intake at the jail, they ask him about an emergency contact, and he realizes there's nobody left. He has nobody. So he asked Detective Mickey Alufi to be his emergency contact.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
All
his
right.
emergency contact.
Oh, still?
I think so. I don't know if
well,
the guy's
I mean,
gone now, but
yeah,
back then in 1974 or whatever,
yeah,
73.
For a minute I forgot it was way back. But yeah.
Yeah. So that was his.
Wow.
His
I think
emergency
that's
contact.
something.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Crazy. So trial started November 1973. They had their own psych doc do an eval with him, Dr. Joel Fort, and he used truth serum on him.
Okay.
Okay. And Dr. Fort reported to the courts that while on the truth serum, Kemper admitted to cannibalizing his victims by cutting thigh meat off of them and cooking it in a casserole.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a whole nother level of gross to
Wow.
this guy.
But he's never admitted to that.
No, and he's never talked about it. And he actually recanted that confession later.
Oh.
So he says that never happened.
Okay.
The
All
truth
right.
serum made him say it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
During this trial, too, he also took the stand in his own defense, but he was trying to claim insanity. So he tried to convince the jury that he was a nut job. So he was saying like he did this to possess the girls and that he had two personalities. One was this dark, sinister killer, and one was himself. And when the sinister killer personality took over, it was like blacking out. He had no idea what was going on.
Wow. Okay. But way back, not to, how many ever years ago, you were smart enough to make yourself not insane and get out of a
Exactly.
psych ward. But now you're
Now
like,
you want
no,
I'm nuts. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't buy it either.
Yeah, I hope not.
No. He got sentenced to 8 life sentences.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was sentenced to serve them at California Medical Facility, which is the same place as Charles Manson.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's another one.
I bet that's a place to be, huh?
Right. And Herbert Mullen.
Oh.
Apparently, Mullen was not a very well-liked character on the block. He used to like to irritate people when they were watching television and sing songs and be an asshole. So one day, Kemper wanted to teach him a lesson and threw a pitcher of water on him to shut him up. And nobody's going to mess with Kemper. He's giant, right?
Huge dude.
So then he said also he would feed him peanuts when he was a good boy.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So much so that he would start to ask for permission to sing songs
Oh,
or
my
do
goodness.
stuff. And Kemper said that's called behavior modification treatment.
Oh wow. Okay. Not like he's terrified of me and I'm making him my pet or my
Right.
bitch. Like
It's like Pavlov's dog situation where the guy would ring a bell and his dog would salivate because he knew it was dinner time. Like every time he'd ring the bell, he'd give him food, ring the bell, give him food. It's like the same thing. Like thought he was training Mullen, right?
Jeez
Just like the
Louise.
dog.
So again, he thought he was using his superior brain powers
Right.
and geniusness to be
manipulate.
like,
Right.
wow.
Right. Again, at the jail, he is described as a model prisoner. He became a trustee and gave orientations to new prisoners to tell them how
That
things
is
run there.
So crazy.
Right. And could get whatever he wanted,
How does he do that every single time? No matter where he's at, they're always like, he's very likable, great
They
guy.
love him.
And we're going to
Yeah.
put him in charge.
Yep. Always. He is a
Wow.
master manipulator.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard when you watch all these interviews of him to know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
He also did a plethora of interviews while in jail, and he also helped the FBI. It was showcased on the Netflix show Mindhunter, where they wanted to make it seem like they were using him for his knowledge of things and make him feel like he was
Yeah.
needed, right? But they
Right.
really wanted to study his brain to find out how does one become a serial killer.
See if they can figure out that pattern and
Right.
maybe someday stop it or
And
fix it.
But he did help them in some ways learn how to profile killers,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
helped try to find killers like the Green River Killer and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was helpful in that sense, I guess. Something
That's
good with
wild.
his genius brain, I guess. Again later, he was asked why does he do these interviews and why did he help the FBI? And he said this.
There's somebody out there that is watching this and hasn't done that, hasn't killed people, and wants to and rages inside and struggles with that feeling or is so sure they have it under control. They need to talk to somebody about it. Trust somebody enough to sit down and talk about something that isn't a crime. Thinking that way isn't a crime. Doing it isn't just a crime, it's a horrible thing. It doesn't know when to quit, and it can't be stopped easily.
Kemper remains in jail. He's 74 years old. He's been denied parole multiple times. Sometimes he doesn't even show up to try. He doesn't care.
Why
He's
would
happy
you?
right where he is, running the show, right?
And I mean, really though, come on, like who's gonna give him parole?
He's been incarcerated most of his life.
Ugh.
He was 23 when he went
He
away
was young. Yeah.
after killing the girls, and he
Wow.
was 15 to 21 in the mental hospital.
True. Yeah.
He's up for parole next in 2024.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. That'd be. He'll spend his life in there, right? I mean, come on.
I think he
Nobody's
wants
ever going to
to.
be like, we're not going to make this mistake again and
Right.
let him out on parole. Because as soon as you let him out, you really think he's going to stay on the straight and narrow.
Although he is old now, he is in like what do you call the medical unit in the hospital?
Okay,
He's
right.
had a
So-
stroke,
Okay, so he's kind of
so he's
feeble
failing
and-
now. He's getting older, but I think that's where he wants to be. That's what he knows, right?
Yeah,
So
just kind of done.
right.
Yeah,
So that's the wild story. Edmund
Wow.
Kemper. Edmund Kemper,
that
guys.
is insane.
Yeah,
Like he's done a lot of weird, creepy,
terrible,
creepy
and
things.
admitted to all of it.
And I can't believe like how many times he was so close to getting caught and actually went to so many things, so arrogant with bodies in his trunks and stuff, and just like never got caught, got away with it every time.
Yep. Never afraid.
That is insane.
Unbelievable.
All right, man. Wow, what a wild story. Insane. I could watch documentaries on it all the time, really, because it's just so interesting.
It
and
is.
It's just crazy. But anyway, you guys, again, we appreciate you being here on episode number 1 of our Killer Obsession. And we hope you enjoyed everything. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
See you next week.
And we hope to see you next week.
All right.